go live again for many reasons. One of them is it's easier to do it, but on the other hand, it's also nerve-wracking to do it live because I can make mistakes or anything and I can't edit them. But bear with me if I do. So we are now finally going to do the story of Joseph. And this is the parsha, this is the part of the book of Genesis that the Jews call Vayeshev. And he settled. It means, and he settled. Remember, these are all mnemonics, a part of the literature. They are designed to help you remember what the story is about. So this story is about settlement. And it starts with the words, and Jacob settled, and he lived in Canaan, the land of his fathers. Now, remember, in the previous segments, when we started introducing Joseph, it's all being set up to show how all the sons of Israel are losing their status as heirs to their father, as people who they're losing their prominence, basically. So we talked about Reuben. He defiled his father's bed. He slept with Bella. We saw the other sons. We saw, what's their names? Simeon and Levi, when they violated their father's agreement in Shechem. So now we're starting with the story of Joseph. But remember, there are issues that haven't settled because we're going through Bella's sons, not Bella's, Leah's sons, because Bella's and Zilpah's sons do not matter up to this point because they are sons of concubines. They are still tribes of Israel, but they are not as important as the sons who came from Leah and Rachel's womb. So at the beginning of the story, Jacob is Vayeshev. He settles in Canaan. He was on the run. He settles now. And Joseph is 17 years old. We're introduced to Joseph, and he is like his mother. He's a shepherd. He's with his brethren taking care of sheep. But he is, and this is a detail in the story, he is with the sons of Bella and Zilpah. So he's with the sons of the concubines, probably because Leah's sons are way older than him. Probably because they are close to his age, so he's with them. We don't know, but he is with Bella and Zilpah's sons for a reason, because next in the story, Joseph is telling about them to their father. He's saying things to his father. Nobody knows. They might have been doing something wrong as shepherds. They might have not been taking good care of the sheep. We don't know, but he's going and he's telling, and they hate him. And on top of that, Joseph, probably as any 17-year-old kid, he thinks he's gonna live forever. He's gonna rule the world. He's so awesome. So he's beloved by his dad. He's Rachel's son. Rachel is dead, probably makes Jacob love him even more. And he's a shepherd like her. And he is the son of his old age on top of it. And he gives him this special robe. Now, this special robe, so many things about it, so many stories. Nobody knows what it is. I can tell you what it is. In every Middle Eastern family, the oldest son of the oldest son has a robe. And this robe is handed down from father to son. And the father gives it to his oldest, who gives it to his oldest, etc. So this is basically it. And once you have it, it means you're the person with the privileges of the oldest son. In this case, none of his other brothers have it. He has it, and he's probably showing it off. And his brothers can't even look at him. It says in the scriptures, they can't even say hello to him. That's in the Hebrew. They can't even say hello to him. So then Joseph sees dreams. on top of everything, he's seeing dreams, and in the dreams he sees these wheat stems, and he sees 11 of them, and they are bowing down to him, and and all of that, and they are jealous because the meaning of the dream is obvious, that he's going to rule over them. Again, should Joseph be doing that? No, he shouldn't be doing that. And on top of this, he sees another dream, and he sees the sun and the moon and 11 stars kneeling to him. Then he tells it to his father as well as his brothers, and his father is horrified by it, and he says, "What is this dream? What is this dream? What's this vision you're telling us? Am I, me, your mother, and your boy brothers, your siblings, are to bow before you?" Now, this is an interesting thing because Rachel is dead. So nobody knows why Jacob here is referring to Rachel, me and your mother and your brothers. Now, one interpretation I have, this is personal, I haven't seen it anywhere else. Maybe Leah is now his mother. Maybe Leah, now that Rachel is dead, Leah is in charge. Notice Leah is not mentioned in this narrative, but maybe the reference is to Leah. Anyway, Jacob says that, but his father, even though he's angry at Joseph for sharing that so publicly, he keeps his words. He keeps his words in his heart. But his brothers envy him. Now notice what's happened here so far. The sons of Bela and Zelpha, in one line, they are portrayed as bad hombres, bad people, and we know that they are not going to inherit or have any of the status that Joseph will have. So far, we've gotten rid of three of Leah's sons, all of the sons of Bela and Zelpha, and we're left with Judah. And we're going to come to Judah in the next segment, his own segment. Judah is going to get his own segment because he has such an interesting story. Now we have the main part of the narrative. His brothers go to herd the sheep in what's called Nablus today, and he sends him to them, probably because, as we know from the beginning of the narrative, they are not doing a good job, so Jacob needs to keep an eye on them, so he sends Joseph. And notice what he says in verse 14, make sure they are safe, make sure that the sheep is safe, and send me word back. And he sends him from Hebron. So now here is an interesting part, and I wrote a little note about that in my Facebook page on the Jarvis Gospel Thoughts page today, but I'll repeat it here. He sees this person. Now this anonymous person, scholars agree, is the most important, pivotal person in this story. This anonymous person, Joseph is lost, can't find his way, and he asks this anonymous person for direction. This anonymous person happens to know where the brothers are, and he directs him to them. Now, the reason this person is so important is because if Joseph was lost, if he couldn't find his way, he would have returned home to his father, and that there would have been no slavery to Egypt. None of the Joseph story would have happened. And as I said in my post on Facebook, power of words. We might be the anonymous person in someone's lives, and we might direct them to good or bad. People are always watching. So this anonymous person is important. So anyway, Joseph finds his brothers, and they see him, and in this place called Dothan, and they decide to kill him. They call him this dreamer. Let's kill him. Let's drop him in the well, and say that a beast has devoured him, and show him what his dreams will do to him. So now we're assuming that these are mainly the sons of Bela and Zelpha, but then Reuben is there. And Reuben, remember, he defiled his father's bed. He's sort of out of the picture. He knows that he's probably trying to redeem himself with his father at this point, and he doesn't want to do such a thing to his father. So he has this alternative plan, but he doesn't want to break with the crowd. So what he says, let's not shed his blood. Let's throw him in the well and do not touch him. And then he planned to just, after they settled down, he would get him out and take him back to his father. And end of story at that point. So notice this. He's called in the story, in here, he's called the dreamer. Now, dreaming in the ancient world, and I mean, interpretation of dreams, my mother always interprets dreams in certain ways, but there is no standard way, definitely, of interpreting dreams among Arabs or Jews. But it's agreed that if you're thrown in a pit, it means you're going to go to jail at some point. Now, this is not happening in a dream. This is happening in real life, but the dreamer is being thrown in a pit, and this is called literary foreshadowing. You know, it's foreshadowing Joseph being thrown in jail later on, and this is another story that we're going to talk about. So now notice, so far also in the story, Joseph's name is mentioned in every verse, up to the point where he, in verse 23, is he approaches them, they grab him, they take his special robe away, they take his clothes off, and they throw him in the pit, and then they sit down to eat. So Joseph's name, this is the last time it's mentioned here for a reason, and I'll say it in a minute. But the point I want to emphasize here is that, notice, an injustice is about to happen to Joseph. Remember, these stories are built with mnemonics, with rhythms, with cycles, so that because it's an oral culture and people have to remember them. So Joseph now is about to be subjected to an injustice, and because of that, and as a part, not because of that, but as a part of the story, his tunic is taken, his garments, his dresses, tunic is taken from him, and then he's thrown naked without it, and the injustice is done. Now his name is mentioned. Then they sit, and now we have this caravan coming in. And the caravan, in verse 25, it says Ishmaelites or Arabs. They are coming from what's today called Jerash in Jordan. And they are going to Egypt. And Judah, who we haven't come to yet, he decides to, he says, why should we kill our brother? Let's make money off of it. Let's make money off of the deal. Let's sell him. Let's sell him to these people and basically protect ourselves from his blood. Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. Let's sell him to the Arabs, and because he's our brother, he's like our flesh, he's our flesh, and his brothers agree to this. Now, this is important because next, in verse 28, it doesn't say Arabs, it says Midianites. And I promise this is going to a good point. It's saying Midianites. Now, what happened to Arabs? Are they Midianites? Are they Arabs? What's the confusion here? They pull Joseph. Now, Joseph's name is mentioned again. And they pull him out, and they sell him for 20 pieces of silver. Okay, I'll stop here. Now, there is confusion in the identity of the people buying him. Joseph, as you can imagine, is in the will. He's panicking. He's probably freaking out and scared. But he is in the will. He can't hear who this is, who's coming. He hears bits and pieces of the dialogue. And the writer of Genesis is trying to put you in Joseph's place here, the confusion he's had. Who are they giving me to? What's their plan? I can hear this, but who are these people? Arabs? Are they Midianites? So the writer is trying to put you in the picture give you the same confusion, get you to feel the same confusion that Joseph is feeling at this point. He doesn't know, he doesn't have the information, but he sees his name is mentioned again as he sees the 20 pieces of silver. Now, the 20 pieces of silver, I wrote a note on Facebook again about it because this is always an exciting point. This is not, this price, I don't know if it was high or low. I haven't seen any reference to the value. Is it an expensive, is it a high price? Is it a low price? We don't know. But we know from Leviticus 18 that if a firstborn son is sold into slavery, to redeem him, you have to pay 5 shekels. Now, by scholars' estimates, what's 5 shekels? They are equal 20 pieces of silver, the price of the firstborn. The irony in this is that his brothers are selling him for the ransom price of a firstborn. Again, emphasizing Joseph's status amongst his brothers and where he will be at, because eventually we know he will be in charge. So now Reuben wasn't there during this transaction. Judah was in charge. Reuben comes in, he sees what happened. He doesn't see Joseph there. He tears his clothes. This is a sign of mourning from the ancient times. People still do it. And so they take Joseph's garments. And notice here another part of the Old Testament, Genesis's genius. They kill a sheep and they soak the tunic in its blood. And that's their proof when they talk to Israel, when they talk to their father, Israel. That's going to be what they're going to show him as proof that Joseph died. A wolf has killed Joseph. So now I'm sure you can see the irony in the story. This is Jacob, when his father Isaac couldn't see, was blind or almost blind. His mother Rebecca put sheep's hair, dressed him in sheep's skin, and so that his father feels it and ascertain his identity. Here it's done with blood, and Joseph and Jacob. Israel is traumatized. He's sad for many days. It says for a long time, and his sons and daughters are there to give him consolation, but he doesn't want consolation. He says, "I'd rather die and because I'm sad for my son." And that probably made them feel even more resentful towards Joseph because, he doesn't care about any of them. The only son, the only, person he cares about is Joseph. And Rachel is gone now. So he's very sad. Now, again, in 36, there is a change in name of the identity of the people who bought Joseph. Here it says Midianites. And they sold him to Egypt, to Potiphar, who is a servant of Pharaoh, who is his chief courtier. And so he's basically the chief eunuch. The word used in Hebrew can mean eunuch, and that's another part of the story. But this is it. I don't want to go into the story of Judah and Tamar immediately. I'll do it in another segment, in its own segment, because it's an interesting story and it's an important part of this narrative. Because right now, imagine yourself on a chessboard. You have Joseph on one end, and you have this competition in the form of his 11 other siblings, and who are so far, all of them, well, Judah has been partially indicted for his part in this conspiracy against Joseph, but for his part, there will be consequences, and this is what chapter 38 is all about, and that's what the next video is all about. Thank you for listening.